see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Oh.
Yeah, scary stuff still to watch that scene play out. So Sunday marks 1 year since a bullet grazed President Trump's ear at that campaign rally in Buttler, Pennsylvania. Secret Service scrambling to protect him after that assassination attempt on stage.
Now, the suspect, Thomas Crook, shot and killed by Secret Service quickly. But the biggest question we still have, how did this guy get so close to killing a former president of the United States, the leading candidate for president of the United States?
Yeah.
Well, let's ask a pair of experts, former Secret Service agents Tim Miller and Barry Donadio. So, 6 Secret Service agents recently suspended earlier this year. They announced it earlier this week for their failures of protecting the president at that rally. That can't be it. I got to start with you, Tim. I mean, is that all we're going to find out about what went wrong on July 13th, 2024?
Hey, I hope not, because here's what we know. That was a colossal failure that we can't have in the United States. President Trump now and then deserves to be able to do what the American people hired him to do. And to your point, anybody watching that event knew that was a catastrophic failure. The fact that 6 agents were suspended just recently, I've been in law enforcement my whole career. You mess up at that level, you're gone that next day until they can figure out what happened. And so I'm like you, I'm a little perplexed by that.
Yeah, I think so many are perplexed as to why it took a year to suspend those 6 agents as well. What else did they find out? So, Barry, similar question to you. What failures did you see playing out in Buttler that day?
Yeah, obviously the roof was unsecure. There was a team that was assigned to cover the roof and be on the roof, and that team did not do what they were supposed to do. So nobody noticed the discrepancy quick enough, and when they did notice it, it was already too late. But at the end of the day, this is also a bunch of miscommunications and not getting the communication where it needed to be quick enough to get the president off the stage. They knew there was a problem seconds before the shots were fired, and the Secret Service teams just did not get the word to get President Trump off the stage, which is what led to what you see in the video.
Yeah, Tim, and I've spent a lot of time in the Secret Service protective bubble in my time at the White House and on the campaigns, and have so much respect for the men and women of the Secret Service. I also understand that this is a series of concentric circles, and the closer it gets to the principal, the failures happen further out. Do you think this was just a one-time issue, or is it a systemic problem in training about the Secret Service about how this went down?
Look, I mean, you saw from the very beginning that the site was not advanced well. Remember, the Secret Service is proactive. Our role is to make sure it does not happen. How do you do that? You do an extensive advance. Rule number 1 for an advance agent. Barry and I have done a bunch of them. You own the high ground. You make sure that nobody can shoot the president from an elevated position. The best perch you could have was not covered, to Barry's point. But then it's a systemic issue after systemic issue, communications, not tactical communicating with each other. This was a shocking event, which I think goes to your question. They have to rethink how the Secret Service does business. We need the baddest warriors in the world as part of the Secret Service because the threats to President Trump are unlike any I've seen in a lifetime.
Yeah, and Barry, I want to get back to something we mentioned a few minutes ago about those 6 Secret Service agents just now being put on unpaid leave. Why? Why do you think it took a year to make a decision regarding that?
You know, I'm scratching my head at that decision as well. At least when I was in the Secret Service, if you had done something incorrectly, that would have been corrected very, very quickly, probably within 48 hours. So I wonder if these actions were actually taken sooner and now it's being announced. I'm not quite certain, but it's almost like a moot point. So were those agents working for the past year on a regular basis and now they're disciplined and now maybe their guns are taken away or they're in a administrative role or a disciplinary role? It seems a little bit off to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, Tim, now I also know that presidential campaigns put a strain on the Secret Service like none other, because you have a sitting president and their family, vice presidents. Now you have candidates for president and vice president running all over the place every day, being in a different city. Do you think they've got time to get these things fixed before we enter the next presidential campaign cycle, or do those candidates have something to worry about?
Well, to your point, they don't have time to fix this. It has to be fixed now. The president and all of the protectees have to be protected at the highest levels, greater probably than any time in the Secret Service. And to your point, I've been on the campaign, so has Barry. You are exhausted. Well, why? Because the staffing levels aren't sufficient. We need to hire the right number and the right kinds of people, and it needs to happen immediately. And, quite frankly, there are pools of those kinds of people in the military and in law enforcement that you can recruit in very quickly. And now you're not starting with a baseline of no training. You're starting with a high level of experience and skill, which, by the way, the Secret Service needs, because it was crooks in Pennsylvania, but we already know state organized plots to kill the president are out there. So they've got to be game on every minute of every day.
Yeah, Iran's not going down quietly. Tim, Barry, thanks for everything you've done. Thanks for your service. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.